This week, colleges are going to begin for teens across the country. It's an exciting time and a really nerve-wracking time in a teen's life, and it can also be hard for moms and dads, grandparents, all as well. Transitions are tough. And here to talk about the college transition, Dr. Judith Jackson is joining me. We're glad you're here once again. This is really overwhelming for pretty much all parties involved. But probably the best thing to do is, if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling scared, if you're nervous, don't be afraid to say something, right? Communication is really important.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. Communication is key. Creating an environment where both parties feel comfortable enough to talk, because this is really a hard place. It's a sea of contradictions. You're grown up, but you're really not. You're a pseudo-adult. You're not financially dependent, yet you're going out on your own. You're going to college, but your parents are paying for it. So this is a very hard time. So both parties have a very hard time navigating this transition. So talking about this awkwardness, where you want to trust them, you want to give them that freedom, but you also want to set some rules and some guidelines and some goals.
Right, talking about communication, it's a good time to remind them, as you mentioned, what we should and shouldn't be doing, reminders, right? Because a lot of it is new. They're living on their own, but they need reminders about alcohol, drugs, things like that, right?
Absolutely. They need reminders, but also in an environment that you're not really a parent, quote unquote, like when they were 10 years old. You're more of a mentor. You're telling them, when you drink, pace yourself. When you're going to be going out with a boy, find out, is this a one-night stand or will it be ongoing? Talk to them about all the dangers that they can run into, but talk to them not in a knee-jerk reaction and being scared that they'll do something crazy, but rather being open to it and accepting that your child is now grown and is going off.
Yeah, independence is a big thing this time of year. The kids are out of their parents' homes. They're sort of on their own, either in a dorm or another college house or a rooming situation. And they have some newfound independence. You know, they're making these decisions, a lot of different ones that they've never had to make before in their lives.
Exactly. So it's really important for parents to mentor them about them. One big one is time management. Don't take all your classes in one day. Spread it out, so if you get sick, that you're not missing everything. Also, talk to your professors. Go into the professors' meeting time and talk to them, befriend them, become more of a colleague. Think of it as a transition from high school to college, that it's different. Also, I would encourage parents to tell them that your health is more important, that your health comes before grades, even though I want you to have a defined education day and study. But if you feel something is not quite right, physically, emotionally, look at that and take care of it and ask for help if you need it.
I know when I went off to school, around every corner there were applications to get credit cards here and there. So finance is another thing to really cover with the kids, right?
Exactly. Finances, being smart about it, but also giving them freedom. They're going to make mistakes. It's part of their growing process. Trust them, allow them to learn, allow them to advocate for themselves. That's a skill that they'll always need. So let them, give them that space.
And parents should talk about goals with their kids, right? Because it's a big year, a lot of new things, but we want to make sure we hit certain benchmarks, right?
Exactly. Talk to them. Do you have a defined graduation date? Let's talk about that. Do you know what your major is going to be? And it doesn't have to be what the parents want. Many parents want finance, but if your kid is really passionate about art, they will probably do better in the long run. You want them to be really passionate about it. Talk to them about goals socially. How do you plan to make friends? Be involved. Find out who their friends are. Take their friends out to dinner. Set goals around many areas, whether it's part-time work, whether it's class schedule, whether it's finances, but together in more of a collegial way.
Now, because there are so much going on freshman year, there's a lot of new responsibilities, pressures with school, so much of that. There are some signs that parents should be aware of if the pressure is a little bit too much for the kids, and they might need some help. Exactly.
So the main thing is, know your child's baseline. You know your child better than anyone. So if your child is overly cheerful, like everything is great, or Or your child is more sad, extremely homesick, and that's not who your child is. They're not doing well in school, but they're really a smart kid and always did well. That's a sign that something is off. If they're hyper-focusing on weight, that they're too fat, that they're too skinny, and this is all they think about, it's a sign that something is not right with them. And talk to them about it. Be empathic. Tell them that you care and that you'll be there for them. There's this fine line between being intrusive and letting them know that you're there.
And of course, we're going back to what you said was the most important thing: communicate. Communicate. Don't be afraid to say how you're feeling and what you think.
Exactly.
All right, Doctor, thanks so much. We appreciate your time. Once again, great advice and good stuff for parents to keep in mind.
Thank you for
Coming up next for you here on Good Day Connecticut, some developing news out of West Haven this morning.